Evening all, and welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity show. My name's Thomas Williams, and tonight is November the 10th. Evening all, a sobering opening and what has been a rather sobering week. Tonight will be a mixture. It'll be sobering, it'll be hard hitting as it needs to be. It'll be funny in parts, as everyone knows my humour by now. And it will also be a note of promise. So, welcome to the Truth, Honour and Integrity. After the circus show this week, I thought those two songs were fitting. Send in the clowns, indeed. There will be, I don't know whether it'll make it in the first hour, but there is quite a heavy Intel update. That will probably be in the second hour. But we'll see how we go through things. But first things first, we'd like to wish Sharon Lanyon and Susan Beckers a happy birthday from all at the Truth, Honour and Integrity. So I hope you had a good day, and I hope you will have a good future also. The foundation, a couple of concerns or issues cropping up. To be quite honest, the foundation has not started yet because we've been too busy with certain things that have postponed this week. I would like to have had it all done and dusted so I could go and quit my day job and free up some time, but this week has been stretching. And so it's going to be next week before we're able to set up the bank account, and consequently the funds will arrive 48 hours after the account is open. Unfortunately, we have clowns in the banking industry as well. They're insisting that the director from Iowa must fly down to Florida to sign a piece of paper to open the account. Like, you just love it. Not really. So that's where the delay is. There's a few glitches with the website, and Michael is trying his best. He's not getting much support from me at the moment, unfortunately, as I would like, or he would like, due to time constraints. But hopefully over the weekend all those will be ironed out and we can go and get the bank account next week, and hopefully by the next show we should have a full-on announcement, and maybe we'll do a foundation special show to teach you through the website and what it entails and what to do and what not to do. And thanks for all who have volunteered. It's going to be an extraordinary thing. For the benefit of us all. It's not about me, it's about you, what we can do best for all the people, not a few select individuals. It's about us learning to govern ourselves. Can we encourage others to donate, not just the trust fund? You know, it's always better, the more we have, the more we can do with it. The more we can help people, the more we can build, the more projects we can do, and the more programs we can do. So it's that's been kind of left in abeyance for next week. So apologies over that. What else? We're going to go into some news. There's not much news. But there's a couple of stories I've managed to catch up on, and then we'll get into what I need to say in this first hour, and hopefully then in the second hour we have a fairly hefty intel dump. So of course we had the elections, and I'm going to hold my hand up and say I was wrong. I don't mind doing that. I have said before, if I get something wrong, I don't mind owning up. I would sooner do it that way than hide behind a lie or confuse it. I did state that Hillary would win. We'll have more later on as to why she didn't. So technically I was wrong, and I'll hold my hands up to that, but you'll understand why later. So after a quite bitter and quite frankly a bizarre, insidious election has left many Americans devastated by Donald Trump's win, some of the citizens in California have decided to call for a secession from the United States of America. Hashtag CaliExit is trending on Twitter, and it is appealing for a break-off from the Union. Another popular moniker is California. Some took a more serious approach, like venture capitalist Shervin Pishevar, stating, now that Trump's won, I'm announcing and funding a legitimate campaign for California to become its own nation. He and others called California the 6th largest economy in the world and suggest it could be a serious player on the national stage. Others took a more light-hearted approach, with one Twitter user joking, we'll just take our avocados and legal weed and leave. Well, just go. Just go. Those of us who stay here and fight like true American people, in my opinion. In New Jersey, this is rather sinister, and I have reason to believe sometime in the future that this may be corrected, but this is what's took place in New Jersey this week. Republican Governor Chris Christie administration has seized power in Atlantic City, taking control of the assets and major decision making in a struggling seaside gambling resort that is over $500 million in debt. The New Jersey local finance board voted on Wednesday to take over the city's main governmental functions after the state government rejected a 5-year proposal financial turnaround plan. That's rather convenient to them, isn't it? The state can now sell the assets, including the former Bader Field Airport property and the city's much coveted water utility. It can also reverse decisions of the city council, break union contracts and hire or fire workers, but declined to give itself the power to file for bankruptcy on behalf of the city. Maybe because they would be liable for it. Atlantic City community activist Steve Young says this is an example of what this country could turn out to be under Chris Christie and Donald Trump, taking away our rights and sovereignty. What will government look like with the state of New Jersey overpowering the residents? We are headed for some bad times, he said, and your city could be next. We'll see about that. Former Wall Street golden boy and executive Andrew Casperson was sentenced on Friday to just 4 years in prison for engaging in what prosecutors say was a Ponzi-like scheme. Well, we've all heard them, haven't we, far too often, to defraud investors, including family members and friends, out of $38.5 million. 4 years. I say into that. Casperson, who worked at the unit of investment banker Paul Taubman, PJT Partners Inc., before his arrest in March, was sentenced by the US District Judge Jed Rakoff in Manhattan after pleading guilty to charges including securities for fraud. Prosecutors had sought for up to 15 2/3 years in prison for the Princeton and Harvard Law School graduate, saying in court papers he had for 18 months shamelessly exploited the confidence his victims placed in him. Amazing what going to Princeton and Harvard privilege get you. Everyone else would have gone 20 to 30 years, but this clown, another clown, gets 4. No doubt he'll be out for good behaviour in 2 years or less. So that's kind of where we're at with the news. I haven't been able to catch up with much. You know, you just don't know where you're going with the news. So right, where are we next? This is what we're going into next. This is the sobering part and the hard hit. It needs to be said. The touring circus of comedy this week drew America deeper into a cesspool of hate, division, mindless stupidity and cringeworthy crassness. Sadly now we have become officially the laughingstock of the world. Every country is laughing at what took place this week and the preceding weeks. Is that a nation we should be proud of as Americans? I'll include myself in that. I've been here for near 15 years now. It's not something to be proud of in my book. Half of people celebrating for the lesser of two evils. Is that your reality? It's not mine. It's not people on this who listen to this show either. Is that what people perceive as your only option? There's always a third option. We've spoken about that many times in this show. Well, the reality is, are we that asleep as a nation as to not realise our political system is not only rigged, it's corrupt and 100% fake? Yet 118 million Americans voted for these pair of clowns. It's like the Gecko ad. Why did you vote? Because it's what we do. Perhaps think, no, it's not what we do, and act like the 47% who didn't vote. 47%. Kudos to them people, because you are over double the votes the president-elect got. Some election now. Where only 53% voted. Telling and a source of encouragement to me, as I would have preferred that to be double, 94% not voting. You always get the odd few idiots, but there you go. I've told people on this show, and whilst we're in Cosmic Voice, not to vote until I was blue in the face. That is, and always will be your real option until cabal, stroke elites and psychopaths are removed. It's not a government, it's not your president of the country. It's a CEO of USA Inc., which is bankrupt. It's also defunct. What we are facing now, and this is something you must listen to, there are two separate worlds operating simultaneously. You can still see everyone, but they are not there. Like on Tuesday, is that your reality? Are those people in the real world? Think about it. It may be correct. Many people are reporting their loved ones are going or acting very strange. Take note of it. We're in two separate worlds at the moment. Them and us. There's no right or wrong world, whichever one you're in. But some of the displays of stupidity this week suggests there's more in the other world than in ours. So we had elections for our next control master. 118 million people voting for what exactly? Freedom? Not likely. More tyranny. These people have memories of a goldfish. Obama was going to change things for the better, he said 8 years ago. Give him another 4 years, he'll correct it. And Trump's going to be different. My arse he is. You have to remember the last person who got into a White House who was commerce-based led the country into a second recession in 4 years, and a few years later into World War II. A sobering reminder. So that should be, bear in mind that when saying Trump is different. We'll see how different he is further down the line. So 118 million people voting for people all too ready to lord over you further and trample you deeper into the mire. Queuing round the block to vote for a continuation of bullshittery reminded me of the lines in Auschwitz. In fact, it's exactly like that. Why? Because it's the same people doing it. Third Reich, Fourth Reich, right in your face. Fascism, stroke patriotism, it's the same meaning. Love of the country above its people. That only leads you down one path, an ultimate destruction of disconnectedness. Clean up the swamp, Trump says. Yes, that's rather fitting, Mr. Trump, as you are in it up to your neck. Just the wig sticking out of the water now for you. What about how much did you give to the money laundering group, aka the Clinton Foundation, your so-called partner in crime, alleged opposition? One of the most ridiculous things I've ever witnessed in my life is this week. People weeping because the daughter of Satan never won the election. Is that part of your reality? Because it ain't mine. A robotoid clone body double in as your president was an unwitting vote for transhumanism. I hope people get that. Yeah, you keep wailing away, you stupid morons. That bitch you supported killed 4 in Benghazi, killed off many witnesses recently in mysterious circumstances. Yeah, right. We all know it's not mysterious at all. Let us not forget the past deaths for Bill Clinton and his wandering penis, the emails fiasco, American Minerals, aka Oregon, sold off to the so-called commies, yet another false boogeyman. The Haiti fiasco and the 18 billion her foundation has kept from those people. 5 years on, 6 homes built. Treasonous American secrets given to other nations, some of which are supposed to be our enemies. Her foundation, or their foundation, is a money laundering, racketeering, people trafficking organisation that implicates almost all in the government of this country and many prominent people around the world. She was fired as a lawyer for being corrupt, and she was younger. How did that not disbar her automatically from running for office? Hitler was recently found out giving her carpet-munching lover state secrets, which mysteriously ended up on her kiddie porn-loving husband's computer, of all places. Was it Hitler who gave her that name? Huma Abedin, which is an anagram for I bet a human. They've been lovers for the last 10 to 15 years, a case of jobs for the girls, not just the boys now, eh? So instead of crying over Hitler losing a one-horse race and sitting in expensive rallies like a bunch of sycophants, happy clapping like a bunch of performing seals, how about wailing for your nation and its people? The homeless, the poverty-stricken, the foreclosed, the mind-controlled, the water, air and food poisoning, the vaccination poisoning, the under-educated masses, the sheer rape and destruction of Mother Earth, be it land, air or sea. Or the lack of actual affordable health care for all. Preferably one that actually cures, not harms. Or the elderly who have to choose whether to heat or eat in the winter. What about all the veterans left to rot with little or no support as their brains addle away due to the concoction of drugs supplied to them whilst in service? Or how about wailing for the 750,000 children who go missing here in the United States of America each year to fulfill the depraved minds? Or all the animals left in shelters or on the streets as owners can't afford to look after themselves, never mind feed pets? These are the things you should be crying about, you stupid retards. Oh my God, Hitler hasn't won the election. Get a life. Trump. A man who's been bankrupt 4 times, but being bailed out by a who's who of cabal elites. Yes, Rothschilds being one of them. Paid to play in the theatre that is called the American elections, supported by AIPAC, aka Zionist Control, and MIC, also in league with Zionists, as they are the biggest cash cow for buying weaponry. And we're led to believe he's a man of the people. Really? Man of the people don't sleep with 13-year-old girls. Man of the people don't declare bankruptcy to avoid paying their staff. Man of the people don't fail to pay his campaign staff either. Bankrupt 4 times and he's going to rescue this country from financial bankruptcy. Really? How about rescuing our moral bankruptcy as well, as this nation has descended into the pit? Will he save that? Not a chance. He's already shitting his pants, I hear. Big time. America. We have some soul searching to do. Big soul searching. The country and its people have become morally and spiritually bankrupt, mind-controlled slaves, riddled with fear and cowardice, cognitive dissonance in rampant format, over-enamoured by commercialism, consumerism and image. Yes, America is all about image, except our image has been false from day one. Our history was false from day one. We were born a Christian nation, they say. True Christians would not sit back and ignore the rape and pillaging of this country or its children. Perhaps they're waiting for their gods to come and save them from their insanity. Our alleged government has been false for 145 years, Our alleged bank system has been corrupted for 103 years. Our education system is one of the worst in developed nations. Our colleges and universities produce the same mind control, follow the orders people as school does, and have little to offer except join the military or work at McDonald's. Founding fathers. That was false from day one also. A bunch of mainly British bottom and kiddie fiddlers operating out of the Hellfire Caves, dictating American policy. Orders came from the same place we're still fighting to remove from our shores and their control system, Crown of England. Our military has brought inherent shame on this nation, operating on behalf of elites and rogue ETs, and yet parents here think it's a badge of honour to serve their country. US is not a country. Period. It's not an honour to serve in the military, far from it. More of a blight on humanity. You've been duped on a massive scale. It is human sacrifice in its highest capacity. You are sacrificing your children to appease the greed and whims of psychopathic humans, slimy lizards and bug-eyed night crawlers. Period. We lead the world in military spending, bio-warfare, espionage, mercenary groups, incarceration of its people, the majority of whom are black. Did slavery really end? Is that what we, the American people, wish to be associated with? Is this what we stand for? I didn't spend all my savings to make the 4,500 mile journey from my friends and family to tolerate this shit, and I will fight tooth and nail along with the many other humanitarian peoples to change this atrocity. And it's an atrocity in its highest form, a complete denigration of a country and its people by psychopaths. The American dream, they call it. More like a nightmare. You have to be asleep to see the dream. We, and I mean we, not I, need to stand up and take some collective personal responsibility. We have all played into this game of illusion far too easily, whether people like that idea or not. All of us, myself included. No advanced ET group worth its salt would come and save us from a mess we created. Are there extenuating circumstances? Absolutely. Should it have gone as far as it has done? Absolutely not. Can't carry on blaming everybody else. Ultimately, the power rests with the people. It always has. We've neglected our personal responsibility. Get the government to fix it. Get Obama to fix it. They're not there to fix it for us. You all know that by now. The ET interference issue is largely negated now. No excuses anymore. What we are dealing with is largely psychopathic humans. Whilst we all carry on showing fear, we will continue to lose the game. Or extend it. The biggest fear that the psychopaths have is the people rising up. Always has been and always will be. And rise up peaceably, I might add, unlike some of the morons currently marauding around American towns and cities. Looting is not protesting, neither is smashing stuff up. So we need to use their fear of us against them instead of cowering before them. They are few and we are many. Time for all to stand up and be counted. All uprisings will be supported heavily by the UPU and other ETs as they are waiting for us. The Hunger Game movie kind of said it all. Yes, it was the cabal taking the piss out of us. Oh, they thought it was hilarious doing a movie of how they treat the people. Whilst it may not be as graphic as the movie made out, it's exactly the same in its hidden form. Divide and conquer, while they sit back and watch us kill each other for a laugh, whilst they bet on it. Classic theatre in the drone as the contestants, aka slaves, paraded in front of the elites, chomping and slurping on the finest while the masses get breadcrumbs. Sound familiar? It should be. A full-on media show with a classic American prat as the presenter with his whitewashed teeth smiling and baiting at the same time. Like watching CNN or Fox. A phony, false image of American reality, and should not be representative of we the people. But in amongst their bullshittery and mass hilarity and disempowerment of the people in that movie, the cabal left a message of how to end it. Did many spot it? Some will, some won't. Many won't. Those who have watched the movie will remember it was only supposed to be one contestant designated to survive. But you remember one thing changed all that. Love. In a world of total insanity, it's all we have to hold on to, and the one thing they can't take away unless we allow it. So let us, in this nation, stop loving flags and countries and alleged freedoms and start loving your fellow Americans. This is our song for the people of the world. It's time to not be untied and join the humanitarian train ride into real freedom in the real world. This first song describes it all. The second song is from me to the American people. Hi all and welcome back. That was a sobering, heavy-hitting piece. It has to be said. Some will like it, some will love it, and some will hate it. Sometimes the truth hurts. We've said this. But we can't go on living the lie and we're all living the lie in this country. Many of us who listen to this show are not living the lie, but there's many who are. Those people, including the 118 million who voted for continued slavery, need a severe 2x4 over the head, in my opinion. They need to be skull dragged back into the real world and reality of what is going on in this country. The lies need to be corrected. The truths need to be told on all levels. Rest assured, Trump being in there is actually better than Hitlery, but it's still the lesser of evils. Rest assured, the people who provide the information bulk or the intel for this show, we will not be given up. Far from it. We've made huge ground in the past week. So regardless of what games they play, all theatre designed to distract the masses, we've continued to make huge progress. So the intel dump for this week is going to be rather interesting. First of all, I forgot to say at the beginning of the show, hi and welcome to all the listeners of Open Your Mind Radio over in Ireland again. I hope you're enjoying the show. Your regular guys will be back next week, I think. So back to normality. It's fun listening to those two guys. I do like them a lot. One of the few who actually do stuff. They do collections and go out travelling around Ireland helping people physically. They're good people. So the second song, The Voice. We're not going to sit in silence. We're not going to live in fear. That should be the motto for the American people going forward. Each and every one of us, particularly the latter part, because this country is riddled with fear. They fear us more than we fear them. I know some people have difficulty believing that, but it's reality. And the third song, Stick Your New World Order Up Your Arse. It's halfway up, maybe even 3/4 of the way up, maybe even 90% up. Now, about 2 months ago, we mentioned there may be a reduction in chemtrails. And for a while, there was a considerable reduction in chemtrails. And then suddenly we had a raft of spraying again. Want to know why? Because those particular chemtrails contained an antidote to the zombie virus and was all done by the UPU to make humanity immune. So they were not Monsanto chemtrails this time. Antidotes for the zombie virus. The cabal were going to wheel out. We told you about this zombie virus last summer. They were planning it. It had to be done. And it was done. The clowns were notified yesterday. They're not best pleased. Even less pleasing to them was the next part. you open it like this. The UPU and others set about destroying all the projectors and laser weapons for their fake alien invasion, which was designated to take place on November the 7th, as forecast in this show. It failed. All their projectors and laser weapons are now defunct. So their media propaganda bullshit, with fake executive orders about space debris, though it's not Nibiru. Maybe for the other people living in the other reality simultaneously to us, not our reality, maybe reality for them, not for us. It's not. So these would be the two options that the cabal were going to wheel out. That's why you had the epidemic executive order also. Too late. Both have been prevented. Hope the cabal like that. So this is some of the stuff that's been going on behind the scenes, as one member put it. And once we were sure that at least 95% or more of humanity had been covered for both of the issues, we then decided to pick the lesser of two evils into office. So there you have it. What was left then was the financial attacks, which was pre-betted on. Bush's betted heavily on shorts, and they lost heavily, as did Mr. Soros. Oops. Go and check the stock market and the certain companies that lost heavily in the last few days, Facebook being one of them. They all bet short because they were deliberately engineering a financial market crash, which would have turned America into Venezuela overnight. It failed. The people who support this show injected funds, huge amounts of funds, to stop the crash. They've done this before. So what happens then is they were trying to make sure that the market didn't bottom out as such, which is exactly what the TRN and the Th&I people are trying to do. The new clowns. Of course, Hillary, assuming she was already president last week, signed off on the TRN. It got blocked. Apparently Mr. Trump holds a significant amount of dinars also. He was sat down last night and told there will be no money from dinars, and to do what he is told, and no more bullshittery from him. The Nazi faction and the Russian faction sprung into action, with the Asians and Americans in tow, to crash the markets and drop the Dow down to a minimum of 800 to 1,000 points yesterday. The futures were predicting it, and the expected crash the following day failed to materialise. Like the expected increase of oil way above 50 failed to materialise, and it's now dropped down to 44. So they can't kick their shale industry back into gear. So they were threatening to, well, they weren't threatening, they were going to crash the market by 800 to 1,000 points. And then today, had they achieved their 800 to 1,000 points, crashed the dollar by 50% in order to usher in the TRN bullshittery and dinar RV bullshittery of the highest order. RV, regurgitated vomit. That's about all it's worth. Markets, as we all know, are not real anyway. Not a false reality. They're just perceptions. So the markets were 1000% manipulated in the opposite direction to make sure that their crash did not happen, and the dollar got stronger today, not weaker. Oops. Overnight, we're anticipating the Asian markets being hit and the European markets also, but this will have no effect whatsoever on the American markets and will actually make the US dollar stronger. The Muslim Brotherhood, we haven't heard that term in a while. Et al. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and all the IS and ISIL and all the other ridiculous acronyms that they come up with. They did a call to arms scheduled for the 7th and 8th of November here in the US. And this was supposed to be directed towards all voting booths in America in order to usher in martial law, cancel the elections, and keep Obama in for a third term. That failed as well. However, their involvement and promise for their part was to have the dinar, which would have become a currency for the whole world, backed by oil. You've heard it mentioned on the show many months back, what they were trying to do. And this was the original TRN, backed by oil. Not TRN of America, but Treasury note of the world. Yet more fiat bullshit. So this gave a promise to the Muslims that they then would be controller of the world. Now they have switched their plan to the TRN Treasury Reserve Note, in which the Muslims have been promised a part, but not whole control anymore, as they couldn't get it done. And that's despite having one of their own in office. Oops. So Hillary was plan B, not plan A, plan B for the psychopaths. Wait till you hear this one. She signed a contract 4 to 5 months ago, already signed and sealed as the President of America for when she got into office. She signed a contract with the Chinese elders, in inverted commas, rogues I call them, not elders, better known as the Bush Chinese-run faction, also known as the Omegas, to sign over, you're going to love this, not, all United States of America in-ground oil, gas, uranium, gold and silver in order for the USA's participation in the new Treasury Reserve note. She handed over all our resources. So this was Plan B, to be the world's backup reserve currency. All currencies all over the world would be backed by the TRN, by the oil, gas, uranium, gold and silver that came out of the ground of American soil. So instead of only oil, this one would be backed by a basket based on the contribution resources offered by each nation. And that was waiting to be signed this week. Now you know why intervention into the election took place. So it would have gone live eventually at her inauguration, or when she got elected, as the Chinese families and the European Russian Nazis thought it would all happen by the 15th of this month. It failed again. Plan C. You may not like this intel either. Trump was Plan C. Not necessarily Mr. Trump himself, but his wife. Trump's wife is an old KGB agent from the days of the USSR. Yes, you heard it right. She currently reports directly to the Nazi Rothschild folks who are left in Russia, and one of the powerful clans in Russia. It's not the only powerful clan there are several. So Trump getting into office, and some of the old KGB network, friends of his wife, were working on this plan to get him elected for over a year now. Now you know why Mr. Putin was supporting him. Under the directive of Trump getting into office, the American asset base, listen closely, would be signed over to the Russians, and they would have more of a controlling interest in the Treasury Reserve note and full control over the United States of America, as one of their own is the First Lady. Trump's plan, or the Trump plan, whether he was involved in it is debatable, would actually require a crash of the market, as the Chinese-American partnership people would never allow for the Russians to get in the driver's seat. So this planned market crash started the moment Trump was announced over in Europe and Asia. That's why the futures started plummeting. Trump is currently being courted left, right and centre by them still. He has no power to open his mouth anymore, as he's being monitored heavily. He is not expected to last at this point. He's upset too many people and too many groups. Rumour has it he was horrified that he won the election. He knew he was playing the game, except the game played him. That's what happens when you dabble in the upper circles of the psychopaths, Mr. Trump. You sought fame and wealth over the love of the people. Sometimes karma bites back rather quickly. Never used to. But now we're in the source-based system. It seems to be biting back rather quickly, does it not? So that piece was written last night, the intel. Now, as an update on Mr. Trump, apparently he's not shitting his pants much today. He's much calmer. Now reality has set in. He knew he wasn't down to win the election. And as I said, it was as much of a shock to him as to the others, particularly the news channels. Oh, I laughed watching the news channels Wednesday morning with the shock and horror that the satanic bitch didn't win. Oops. That was well worth watching. So the vote rigging, it went right up to the wire, I've been told. It changed for Hillary on Friday. The reason why is a whole raft of machines favouring Hillary were removed by the authorities last Friday. So this tipped the balance closer. Further removals of machines and alleged interference in the final 24 hours ended Hillary's campaign in total failure. Yes, it's a case of the lesser of the two evils. Trump is now being instructed on how to go about things currently. He will not be allowed to sell this country out to low-life faction people or special interest groups. Period. Is it possible he can be turned to fully implement a freedom plan? Absolutely. It's being worked on. Many who were still hanging on for grim death to the cabal coattails with the fistful of dinars have now realised their folly. They are now helping Mr. Trump to fix things. Ultimately, if he can't hack it, he will be removed, and somebody else who can will be put in his place. Mr. Trump knows his life is completely effed, one way or another now. He knows he'll be given heavy support and protection to carry out what is necessary, should he choose the better path. He also knows he has a number of bullets with his name on as well. It's not a few. The choice is partially his. I hope he chooses well, as it may be the difference between life and death for him. I don't envy him one iota. But let us not forget, he played into the game for fame and wealth only, and not to represent the people, only to represent his own and others' self-serving interests. But like I keep saying, like many other of their big plans, it failed again, this time spectacularly. A one-horse race election lost by the cabal. Further news for this week is the Paris Accord Treaty. Well, many of us have not had the time to look into this, but I've been given an update of what's taken place or hidden within that pile of bullshittery again. There is a fine print in the Paris Accord which states every country who signs it is required to present all their resources and assets to the UN to help cure poverty. Oh, please. Help the UN help cure poverty. Just when you thought Comedy Week had finished, up pops the UN. Cure poverty, my ass. Well, in actuality, it is a way for the families, in inverted commas, to take everything a country has. These are the bloodline families. This is why the factions think the global currency reset stroke RV will happen. That then provides them with the funds to carry it out. That then supports what we've been saying in this show. They don't have the funds to do anything. They can't do currency reset, they can't do RV, they can't do the 1 to 2 million man army to clear out the Middle East. They can't start the war with Russia and NATO. They can't start a war in the South China Sea. They can't continue the war in Syria or Yemen. Failed, 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 and failed again. When are these people going to get the message? They are finished. Step down, step out, and fuck off, basically, is my message. We've had enough of your crap. So, the USA, courtesy of Clinton et al., has actually signed that document. But Trump will not agree to it and renege it. And he will definitely not be signing it. IMF is running around trying to claim all rights to countries' resources also. This is the doing of the Asian and American factions in a cooperative effort. So for any country who has already signed the treaty, we are now calling on them to question the sovereignty of the United Nations. A treaty is only valid and acceptable if two sovereigns sign it. This means two counterparties on a treaty both have to be sovereign. So we are now working with the countries who signed it, 103 so far, to show the need to ask for proof of the UN's sovereignty before turning over any resources to the UN. 103 have signed, 95 who haven't, including Russia. So we're trying to get the 103 countries to ask for proof of sovereignty of the United Nations before turning over any resources. The United Nations, listen to this, has not been a sovereign since the 15th of November 2015, which was prior to when this agreement took place and being ratified in April 2016 by the UN, who are defunct. The UN is not a sovereign, period. It has no rights to sign a treaty, and this also goes for the UN sub-sovereigns, the Hudis Bank, the World Bank and IMF. So hopefully those 103 countries, whether they were coerced or threatened into doing that, will now seek to ask the United Nations for their proof of sovereignty. They will all find they have none. End of deal. End of treaty. Failed again. Bush update. Reported that there was a raid. Investigations are still ongoing, but I've received more intel today of what was found. Some very strange goings on in Texas. Of course, you know, Texas is quite a warm place. But certain barns and certain ranches seemed to be precipitating snow inside the barn. Lots of it. Perhaps it's not snow. Oops. They're going down. The bushes. So that kind of, on that kind of pleasing note, that ends the Intel update for this week. And we'll probably go in. We're probably going to have one song. I think I need a drink, and then we'll go back into some questions. I know there's quite a lot. See how far we get through with them. So I hope you all enjoyed that, and this is for the Cabal. Right, a short break there. For whom the bell tolls, the bell's tolling for the Cabal. Like Dave B just said in a private message, I lost count of the number of times you said they failed. They have. So when people are turning around saying nothing's happening, please open your eyes, because we're kind of on the brink of an extraordinary change. I'm not promising anything, because things have a habit of coming back and biting, as we all too well know. But things are very, very promising at the moment. Many alliances have been made. Many of exposures of what the factions are up to have been delivered, understood, grasped, and are now being acted upon. Whether we get an all-event day, only time will tell. I've called for a certain intervention whereby we can have some sort of public event, so it leaves the public under no illusions of what is going on, and what has been going on. Now all their fake alien invasion is done. The zombie virus is done. Their financial crash is done. Maybe we'll start doing them. Fairly extraordinary meetings are still ongoing. The news that Hillary and Podesta have been arrested is not correct at this current time. I would suggest they've already been spoken to, as of many others. How long that will take before it becomes a public event, we don't know yet. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later, so we can start moving on in not only this country but the rest of the world, rebuilding. There is much rebuilding to be done. Not only infrastructure, we need to rebuild the people, the corrupted people, the mind-controlled people, the browbeaten of the Western world, and the poverty-stricken in the East and the Middle East and Africa. Much has to be done. I would sooner do shows about how this project is being rolled out, and this program is being rolled out, of helping humanity, rather than telling you how many plans of the cabal have failed. It's exciting, but it's reactive rather than proactive. But we're dealing very much in a proactive manner in taking the fight to the cabal. They know we're coming for them. They know we're not backing down. They know the people's angst is growing against them. They also know that the people are becoming more and more aware of who and what they are. American people, 47% decided not to vote. That's a hefty chunk. And what the media classed as the most historic election in history. Yeah, they say that every 4 years. For those of us who don't have goldfish memories. It may be historic for another reason, and maybe those media people who sit there spouting bullshit night and day might not like what they see. Those service to self charlatans passing off propaganda as news, to me they should be done for treason, all of them. They've sold out the American people. Same applies back in the UK and probably all the other countries. Sold out their people to read bogus scripts. If they haven't got the intelligence to see it's a script, maybe you need some corrective therapy. So there's much still to look forward to. I'm not promising that Hitler will be arrested in a blaze of glory. I'm not promising anything. But what I will say, we're making giant strides. We have made giant strides. And people who keep saying, what are the UPU doing? There's your answer. They quite possibly have just prevented Hitler declaring war on Russia. also declaring war on the American people. So I hope the 50 odd million who voted for that bitch realise that. So we're going to go into some questions now and see how far we get. Where do we start? This one. If we live in a free will universe, why is it that malevolent beings can come in our universe, cause havoc with are obviously breaking universal laws? Well, we had free will, but we've lost the ability to use it. When you've got, of course, the trickery that's being played by these malevolent beings, it's easy to see why we've lost it, but not all. You know, even he's talking about free will. You know, 53% of people who voted on Tuesday exercised their free will to vote. Was it the right choice? No. So there goes your free will. They were the majority than the ones who didn't vote. That's how free will works. So it still applies, but until the masses are woken up out of their false reality, an illusion, then we will still have havoc. Now, with regard to breaking universal laws, what they were doing is they pushed it to the very edge of acceptable boundaries. Never quite gone over. It was frowned upon by the council, as I understood it. But until the people rise up and say, we don't want you anymore, there's not a lot they can do. Many people, the minute you start talking of, you know, we've all faced this, when you start telling people about freedom, you're involved in freedom and government corruption and this and that, and then you mention ETs and the eyes roll and they walk away. There's your free will gone. Will people be required to pay federal as well as state income taxes this year, or will the illegal IRS go away before tax? I wouldn't suggest it's going to end too soon. We'll see. There's a lot of negotiations, and I would suggest they were likely to go on between now and Inauguration Day and beyond. There's so much that needs to be corrected on all levels, whether the people who are instructing Trump instruct the IRS to waive taxes for next year. That may be something that can be considered. Maybe something I can put forward to the council and the foundation people to pass on to the military and the Pentagon. You know, some way of getting money back into people's pockets and quickly. The federal part, I can't see that personally, if we're going to have real change, them continuing. They've been another one who, like the UN, have been defunct since December 2013. Their charter ended. They need to be turfed out of the country altogether, back to the city of London where they belong. Will savings bonds still have any value? I can't answer that question. I'm not that. It's possible, but I'm not a finance expert, so I didn't want to pass too much on that. Is everyone in high positions in government, actors, musicians, sports figures, a reptilian hybrid? And if so, can they ever regain their souls back? No, they're not all reptilian hybrids. In essence, we all are. We've all got a portion of that gene in us. It depends on what you consider as a hybrid. But no, they're not all reptilian. As for regaining the souls back, that's a good question. I'm not too sure. The only pointer would be what happened when the raid on the sun, when the sun was removed, the reptilian sun, Anunnaki. There was 100 to 150 reptilians held. I don't know how many are left, but they were going to do away with so many per week or per month until the 100 to 150 had ended. Now the problem being is that each and every one of those reptilians is soul hooked into very public American figures. So had those 100 to 150 been taken out, the host would have died at the same time. So it's difficult whether they are returned, and I don't have that answer. But that may be a pointer that once you give it away or sell your soul out, we all heard that thing is just a throwaway line. No, each and every one of them who bought into the fame and wealth have literally given their souls away. Hope they thought it was worth it. They may find out in the future it wasn't. How will we keep the People's Club votes anonymous and individual? I want to prevent the possibility of parties forming. It will be kept in line by the 3 directors. There's certain things put into place, and also Michael, the webmaster. There's certain things. I'm good at spotting patterns, so any of that nonsense will be stopped. And there's certain other things that have been proposed between the 3 directors, which will be formulated over the weekend, on how to cut down on corruption. So the money goes for the real purpose. You know, where there's money, there's deceit and greed, unfortunately. That's the way the world operates. And we will strive hard to cut down that the money is going to the real needy and not people abusing it. Will there be a forum of sorts to discuss the best ways of getting people in the most dire need first? Again, that will be down to the 3 directors. As such, we are always open to suggestions. It is your club, it's not mine or the other 2 directors. Yes, we're at the forefront of it, but ultimately it's about the People's Club. So suggest a way is fine. If it gets accepted, fine. If it doesn't, don't feel bad on anything. It's just that eventually you have to have the 3 people making the final decision. That's why they're in place. But we're welcome and open to all suggestions, and so we can get the optimal out of this foundation. Where do things go with the new president of this slave corporation, and what happened to our new American government? Well, Mr. Trump is being sat on fairly heavily at the moment of what he can and what he can't do, which is more to do with the good guys rather than the bad. And what happened to our new American government? Well, personally, I hope we have another election to then install a proper American government, not a bankrupt corporation, which is what this election was all about. We all know that. But until certain people with clout, and you'll know who I'm referring to, quit pushing pens round and start acting upon it and provide the safety platform for the government people to go into the actual American government, which has been available since last year, 2 years I might add, for the first proper American government since 1871. They have to provide a safety platform for those people to operate the country from. I would suggest they move quickly on that. Whether Trump stays in temporarily or he stays in for the 4 years remains to be seen. It also remains to be seen whether he even makes the inauguration. Are the wars in the Middle East over Stargates? Well, Yemen was. That got dealt with, as I understand it. There was rumours of it opening again. I don't believe that to be correct. But the rest of the wars are more to do an overview of past incumbents in that region playing out the game all over again, using people as pawns. It's the same region that was fought over many, many thousands of years ago, with the same 5 factions of the Anunnaki. Now, I've proposed that they're planning a caliphate. Many people thought it was ridiculous. Well, with the recent plans of the 1 to 2 million army that was going to bulldoze the whole of the Middle East and all the people in it, there you have it. So what they were planning to do then is extend the wall all the way into Turkey. Those of you who followed me in Cosmic Voice will remember me saying as far back as November, December 2014 that Japan and Turkey would be the up and coming issue countries. Why? Because Japan is the money laundering for the West in the East, and Turkey is strategic. It can be East, it can be West, it can be North, it can be South. It also is strategic for oil. And of course it's also separated by religiosity, heavily in Turkey as well. So the wall was going to be extended right across, with all the peoples removed out of it. The wall was then going to be extended higher. Wonder who was going to go in behind that wall. Doesn't take much to jump to conclusions. If people can't see in, you can put whatever you like in there, inside there. Now ultimately Rome was then going to rule over the crushed Dome of the Rock inside the new built third temple. That was their plan. It failed. Can you give us an update on the banks and the Rothschilds? The banks are in deep doo-doo. They have a massive liquidity problem, courtesy of the Rothschilds stealing all the accounts via their mirror magic. The biggest bank heist in history, were the words told to me. Multi-trillions. tens of it. So the banks have to start playing ball. The governments have to start playing ball. But very quickly, unless they do, they're all going to run out of funds. Then they have to come to the table. You see why I say we're actually winning? Like they said, he who controls the funds controls the game. They don't control it anymore. If it's true that Jupiter and now Saturn are changing colours, what does it mean? Well, I don't know about, I'm not sure on Jupiter. What I can say from my own knowledge, please don't be asking me for links, there are no links to this type of knowledge, is the Saturn being which was removed in September, negative planetary being was removed in September 2015, is why the planet is now changing for the better. No more negative rogue Satan stroke Saturn, and no more Matrix. So now it's returned into its more natural format. Please talk of the Paris Climate Treaty. I've just done that. 209 countries didn't sign it. It was 103 who signed it, and those 103 are being campaigned to force the UN into producing their sovereignty, which they can't do. That then negates the full Paris Treaty. Another thing that failed. I hope you're getting sick of that. Right? Or not sick of it, as I say. Drake stated last Saturday that the plan is in full force. Any news on this? No arrests have been reported as far as I've been aware, nor was the country clamped down. So which part of the plan is exactly in the works? Well, I'm not too sure which plan Drake's talking about. I don't get a chance to listen to his show. I had a good chat with Drake last Friday, and I updated him as to what was going on. So there's many plans ongoing, and you'd have to be a bit more specific as to which one. There's so much going on. It's like people say to me, can you update us on this? And I go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I mentioned that a few weeks, a month ago. But there's that much news where the items ongoing on so many levels. It really is a struggle to keep up with it. You know, you almost forgot about the UPU, and then bang, hitting chemtrails. So it's that's kind of the way it is at the moment, and it will increase. I've said this many months now. The intel will increase as weeks go by. You know, people go, wow, that was a blockbuster show last week, you won't be able to do it next week, and then bang, here comes a load of other barnstorming information. You know, it's just the way it is at the moment. It's increasing, and it's all reaching a pinnacle. Maybe that pinnacle was, we kind of creeped over the edge and sliding down the winning streak at the moment. Which of the crimes will be first that Hillary and Bill get charged with? I have no idea, or even whether they will get charged, or whether they will announce that she actually died on September the 4th, as reported on this show. He's dying anyway, so again, with one dead and one dying, I'm not too sure whether it's going to be even possible to charge them. It should be. I would sooner let authorities deal with that rather than hand select. You know, you'd run out of fingers and toes with a whole football team with the crimes they've committed. So let the people in charge deal with them. There's enough to send them to prison for multiple lifetimes. Like I said, as far as I'm concerned, she's already dead, so that's a waste of time, charging a piece of plastic. Will crimes against children and overall murders be exposed and punished? I would hope that they would be exposed. The punish remains to be seen. It may be swift, it may be slow, and it may not be at all. It may not even be relevant at the end of the day, if neither are alive. Will the cabal be taken off planet? Clinton, Hitler, Soros, Rothschilds. No, not currently. No. Well, they can be taken off planet, but they can't be cast out of the solar system because it's still under quarantine. Nobody in and nobody out. Period. What can their redemption possibly be to mankind? I don't think. I think they're beyond redemption personally. Others may think different. Certain others rather close to this show would rather kind of put some electrodes to their genitalia, shall we say. I know he'd quite love to do that. Maybe the best thing is to put them all in Guantanamo and the FEMA camps and leave them to rot. Give them some time to reflect on their misdeeds. I don't think stringing them up in public is the way to go, despite what they've done. I would hate to see us fall into the same mode of operation that they would, or they have. We have to prove that we are above and better than what they are. So I just hope they are put in Guantanamo, and also the FEMA camps would be my choice. Or an island in the middle of nowhere with no access to humanity, period. What is the plan to ensure these demons don't ever raise their vicious heads again? Well, once it's cleared up, that's down to all the people. All the people need to be educated so this doesn't raise its ugly head ever again. You know, the cry was 70 years ago. We don't want to ever see Nazism again. Yet 70 years later, it's rampant on this very soil. Right in front of your faces, and most people cannot see it. They cannot see it. So you think a whole nation couldn't be kidded. It's happened again, twice in 70 years. Those people need to be removed, and all their rhetoric and all their secrets need to be brought out into the opening, so that the public never again falls for fascism stroke patriotism. It's the same thing. Next question. Considering the level of foreign influence, Soros, and crimes discovered in WikiLeaks, we are extremely vulnerable, especially since Trump defeated Clinton. Before the inauguration, a lot of bad damage could be done. No, that will not be allowed. Trust me, it will not be allowed. Would the council consider intervening even more? They already have. Maybe even reading Trump in to see if he's a viable ally going forward. He already has. and prevent the current administration, Clinton globalists, from leaving scorched earth during the next 10 weeks. That is already accomplished. They can't do it, period. No matter which websites are pushing and promoting fear porn bullshittery, it's not happening. No scorched earth, no World War III. It's all failed. No fake alien invasion. It failed. Zombie virus. Failed. I know you don't like Trump, but it's been determined for certain that he won't work for the good of America. I think he might surprise everyone. Well, given the talks that have took place today, you may get your wish. We'll see how Mr. Trump performs. He either follows the path of the light or he continues with the dark. Either way, Trump won't survive. He will not survive under the cabal. He will pay a heavy price. He will be protected if he chooses to come and help the people and properly help the people. He'll be heavily protected. His choice. Was Trump allowed to win in order to make it easy to expose Hillary? Hillary's already been exposed. The naked emperor, who is not an ugly sight. Sorry for giving the listeners that vision. Hillary in the nude, but there you go. Trump won to prevent the evil incarnate daughter of Satan winning. That doesn't mean to say he was much better, but he's not as bad as her, and he's been trained currently. Same question really. As crude as Trump is there any chance of the people we work with turning them around to our way of thinking? Yes, it's ongoing. I will give further updates as the week goes on. I'm starting to think Trump was the selected one all along, especially due to the predictive programming on The Simpsons some years ago. They actually showed the exact scenes of Trump's real life and him winning. What do you think? It's possible. It's possible. But I think if you ask Mr. Trump in a quiet moment whether he thought he was going to win, he'll tell you no. It went the wrong way for all concerned. Perhaps we should put The Simpsons in politics. Seems they seem to think they know or get so many things correct ahead of time. Or perhaps The Simpsons are a part of the cabal. Are you able to update any info regarding the status of the space war to preserve what we consider humanity? Also, is the UPU committed to allowing the Earth environment to remain inhabitable by humans? The space war is pretty much done. There is minor incursions or attempted, which have been prevented. And not considered a long-term threat, and the UPU is fully committed to allowing the Earth environment to remain inhabitable by mainly humans. That's not to say at a later date other ETs will not be introduced, but we really need to learn to get along human to human first. There are still people or beings beneath our feet. There are still beings that walk amongst us. So we're not alone here. We never have been. Maybe when we grow up ourselves and learn to stop playing into the divide and conquer that the cabal expertly put in front of us. That doesn't mean to say we have to follow it, but we largely have. And we start returning to community spirit, caring and sharing for all, not for the self, but for others. And it shouldn't matter what colour, what nation, what gender you are. We're all people together. Once that takes place, then we're in a stronger position as a species to then accept different ones. Of course, humanity has been rather harsh with different, even different humans. They've wiped out pygmies, they've wiped out all kinds of indigenous people, as they don't fit in, or they know too much history. That basically proves their rubbish that they've been telling everyone in schools and colleges and universities around the world for the last 500-600 years. You know, look how we treated the Europeans. We, being the Europeans, treated the Native Americans was different. They are funny practices. Actually, no. It's us that has the funny practices. They were living in harmony with nature. It's us that are out of harmony. And it's time we got back in tune. Can you validate reports of elite families travelling down to Antarctica, and if so, for what purpose? No, I can't validate that. There's no, as I know, no validity to that. There's a lot of fun and games going down there. Antarctica is in is a hive of activity for other reasons, but I wouldn't suggest those families are going down there. Why did vote rigging in Hillary's favour not transpire in your opinion? Because their machines were removed, the diebold machines, on Friday, Monday and also Tuesday morning. Was it too far apart to rig? No, the rigging was going on right up to the last minute. Did the cabal switch their support for Trump, seeing as Hillary was too damaged as an asset, or were votes counted more fairly this time? No, the votes were counted more fairly this time. And no, the cabal did not switch their support for Trump. The good guys did. Was Android's concession speech pre-recorded? I'm not too sure. I've not heard it. Or Mr. Trump's speech, other than to be told Mr. Trump is as nervous as hell. I'm not surprised, given he got a barrage of threats and all kinds straight after he won. That was no different to what Mr. Obama got 8 years ago from the Bush family. So it's I'm not too sure, and I haven't seen it yet. So perhaps you can give me some details of what she said. I just don't get time to watch videos currently at the moment. I need a few clones, I think. What was the meaning behind Bill and Hillary's colour coordinated purple and black outfits they wore to the final speech? Well, they're the colour of bruises, and the two of them have been heavily bruised. The fruit has been spoiling, and they're in big trouble, both of them. What false flag operations were prevented this week? That was the ISIS people, who are not necessarily the Muslim people. You know who I'm referring to. They were going to disrupt all the voting booths to cancel the election and Mr. Obama keep his third term rolling through. Did the cabal try to pull off the fake alien invasion? They were going to, but all their projectors and lasers were destroyed by the UPU. Haha. Can you describe what it's supposed to be like? A part of, well, watch a sci-fi movie. Same problem. Have all the necessary signatures been obtained for the new peace treaty? Yes, as I understand it, and we need more enforcement on that. I would suggest it will be enforced more strictly in the coming days and weeks. What happened to the high-level negotiations? Something I'm not supposed to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. What the hell? Certain fighting top brass people decided they wanted the love of dinar cashing than supporting the American people. That's what happened to the high-level negotiations. And yes, they're still going on. And now those people have realised the stupidity of their folly, and hopefully they'll be joining ranks fairly soon. I would like to know about the restoration of our republic. So would I. Trump is elected CEO of US Inc. Initially he may be, but he may be transferred into the republic and into the actual American government. Time will tell. What about our republic that is fallen by the people? Well, that's what we're working on still. We've made huge gains, huge alliances, and we may all get what we want in the near future. Are the puppet masters and the headless snake going to go unscathed? No, they're not, and no, they haven't. Some of them have already gone. Will Hillary get pardoned? That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. It depends on how they're going to release that information on her. If the full truth comes out and it supports what this show said, that she died, I don't think it's going to be relevant. Are there limitations to wish granting? Only limitations are your own imagination. But be careful what you wish for, as they say. Last week, this is a whole hangover from last week, you stated there's a split between the people separated along the lines of negative and positive. Do you find negative a service to self, or not awake and aware and refusing to see the truth? I see a very clear split in my own life, yet find it hard to define it as negative versus positive. One group is awake, which can be positive, or more pessimistic, but usually service to others. The other group is not awake, which tends to be carefree, happy, materialistic, and service to others as well. It appears fairly strongly now that we're living in two worlds. I said this earlier. I said to listen. There are some that live in reality, and there's many that don't. They see the illusion as their reality, the hologram. There's many that don't. They're not defined in either group as right or wrong, positive or negative, light or dark. They just are. You know, people crying because Hillary, their beloved Hillary, didn't win. Like I said in the piece in the first hour, is that your reality? No, it's not. That's theirs. Those people live in a blinkered world. They have chosen to stay as part of the illusion, but they're not in our reality. It's two worlds living side by side. They think we're all completely insane. We know they're insane. That's the difference. It's playing out right in front of you. Many people have messaged me and are saying, Thomas, my loved one's just losing it. Just not the same. No, they're not. They've made the choice to stay on the frequency wave of the illusion, which is the overlaying wave of the natural frequency, as described in earlier shows. They will stay on that wave in the hologram. Those that chose to stay in reality and see the illusion for what it is will continue on the natural plane. So I hope that answers your question, and I think that's about enough for me. I think any more questions? There's a few, but I can't be bothered answering any more tonight. After it's been a long week. Every week seems to be long for me at the moment. Life's a bit of a struggle. There's a struggle with having a partner. It's even more when you're on your own and still having to carry on doing all the same things. But we make these sacrifices for a reason, and the reason is that we all need to return to a free and prosperous world. Much has been achieved, as you can tell from the show. There's much still to be done, as the fairly hard-hitting piece on Americans I did in the first hour, it had to be said. We can't keep living the lie that this country is the greatest nation on earth. It's clearly not. Can we make it? Absolutely. But we all have to pull our weight at the same time. So thanks to the listeners of Open Your Mind Radio, who will be listening to this podcast on Sunday. I've got a feeling I'll be coming on your show fairly soon, so I look forward to that. We'll be back next Thursday. There will be updates on the page in a week. If anything major happens, then we will have extra shows. We'll hopefully have an extra show, at least one next week, so we can explain the foundation more once everything is nailed down. Those stupid bank people, and also the funds are landed safely. The funds are there. It's just a matter of placing it into the account once we can get it open. So I may be getting Holly to come and visit me next week. I know she's rather excited about that. It should be fun. I'll probably get battered. Me ears bent. Holly likes to ask lots of questions. It's almost like an extra show every night, talking to Holly on the private messages. We all love her. So that'll be fun to meet another one of the members anyway. Right. If you lead life in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free for you to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want them to be. You are a multi-dimensional being, operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled. You are not here to be enslaved. You are not here to be abused, or to compete with your friends, family, or neighbours. You are here to be the best you can be, and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with the confidence of who and what you are, and excel in yourself, and in doing so, inspire others. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's show, and much more is still to be done. Much has been done, and we look forward to the future with greater confidence, I would say. and I'm still loving you all despite our issues. My name's Thomas Williams. This has been The Truth, Honour and Integrity. Bye for now.